You probably know OpenClaw, the AI assistant that exploded earlier this year. Runs on your computer, talks to you through your messaging apps, and you probably also know that a lot of people who tried it gave up. Memory that evaporated after updates, an agent that lied about what it did, the sense that you were spending more time debugging than the thing was saving you. So when a new assistant called Hermes Agent showed up with the tagline, "The agent that grows with you," a lot of those people paid attention. The promise, an assistant that doesn't just execute tasks, but learns from them, figures out how you work, writes itself instructions from experience, gets better the longer you use it. People started switching. The early reviews were the kind you want to hear. One Reddit post switched from OpenClaw to Hermes Agent, not looking back. A developer who ran them side by side, Hermes is by far the most reliable. No memory issues, never crashed. Sounds good. And there is real engineering here. I'm not going to tell you it's fake, but I want to walk through who built this, what it was originally for, and what's actually happening under the hood when it says it's learning from you. Hermes Agent comes from an organization called Nos Research. They're an AI research lab. They trained the Hermes family of AI models, downloaded tens of millions of times. What made their reputation is genuinely impressive. They figured out how to train large AI models using computers scattered across different locations, connected by ordinary internet. The traditional way needs a warehouse of specialized machines costing hundreds of millions. They pulled it off with volunteers. That work attracted crypto investors. A firm called Paradigm put $50 million into Nous Research last year at a $1 billion valuation pegged to a digital token. That token exists now, it's called Nous, trades on a blockchain called Solana. They're building a network where people contribute computing power to train AI and get paid in these tokens. The people behind Nous are open about where they come from. One founder told Fortune they're, quote, crypto native, and acknowledged the AI community is skeptical because, quote, there's a lot of room for grift. His argument: the blockchain part is necessary to coordinate thousands of volunteers contributing computers worldwide. There's a side effect of this setup worth noting. When a project is funded by crypto investors and tied to a token, the people holding that token have an incentive to promote it, whether or not the promotion is organic. Even if Nous Research isn't behind it themselves, the ecosystem around the token creates that dynamic. And if you've seen strangely similar posts about Hermes online, accounts that seem to only talk about this one product, that's part of the picture. Now, here's what most people don't know. The Hermes Agent project didn't start in February when it launched publicly. The code was first written in July of last year, 8 months of internal development before anyone outside the lab saw it. If you look at what's inside, the original purpose is clear. There's a whole system designed for one job: generating training data. It can run thousands of simulated conversations, record every action and decision, and package everything up to train the next AI model. This was lab equipment, something built to make their models smarter at following instructions and using tools. Then the landscape shifted. OpenClaw proved millions of people wanted a personal AI assistant. OpenClaw's creator left to join OpenAI, and Nous Research looked at their lab tool and realized it already had most of the pieces, taking instructions, using tools, remembering across sessions. They shipped it. The tagline, "The agent that grows with you," landed on a tool originally built to grow models. So how does this learning actually work? You ask the agent to do something complex, something that takes multiple steps. Research a topic, pull data from a few sources, produce a report. When it's done, it pauses, reviews what just happened, what worked, what didn't. Then it writes itself a little instruction file, a skill, saves it to a folder on your computer. Next time you ask for something similar, instead of reasoning from scratch, it loads that file. There's also a maintenance process running in the background. Every 7 days or so, when the agent is idle, it spawns a helper, a separate instance that reviews all the skills the agent has created, grades them, consolidates overlapping ones, archives the ones that haven't been used in months. It never touches the conversation you're having. It never deletes anything permanently. Worst case, a skill gets moved to an archive folder. You can pin the ones you want to protect. It's clever. It's also a few hundred lines of code writing markdown files to a folder. Not magic, not a brain, a prompt that says, essentially, review what happened, write down what worked, don't name skills after one-off tasks, look for general patterns. Clever prompt engineering. But the system depends on one thing working correctly. The agent has to accurately judge whether a task went well before it writes the skill. And that's where it breaks. A user named u/custom Merkins for you had his Hermes pool water test results from a government website. The agent jumbled everything up, then evaluated its own work, gave itself a passing grade. His words? It thought it kicked ass. He manually fixed the broken skill, got it working, and then, because the agent is self-improving, it overwrote his edits with its own version. Someone replied, if I spent time tuning a skill for my smart home, having an agent self-improve it back into a jumbled mess sounds like a nightmare. Memory has a similar gap. Another user documented 10 days of rebuilding the same automations every morning after shutting down his computer. The root cause? Things you tell the agent in conversation don't survive unless you know a specific save command. Most people don't. Experienced users have a rule now. Anything I want the agent to know next week lives in a file, not a conversation, which is not what the pitch said. These aren't random bugs. They come from the same place. The system depends on the AI being able to manage itself, judge its own work, curate its own memory, decide what matters. But the models can't reliably do that yet. They're good at writing text and running tools. They're bad at knowing if they did a good job. So is this actually a better option than OpenClaw? There are real differences. Hermes was built by a professional research team, developed over a longer period, not a weekend project that exploded. The security posture is more careful. The codebase is maintained by people who train AI models for a living. Those things matter for reliability. At the same time, Kilo.ai analysed over 1,300 Reddit comments comparing the two, and the community isn't unified. About 35% stick with OpenClaw, 30% switched, 20% run both, 15% don't trust Hermes at all, some because of the promotion patterns we talked about. Here's what I think the real lesson is. The self-improving pitch is compelling, but it depends on the agent being able to tell whether its work actually improved. And that's not just a matter of waiting for smarter AI. For every type of task, writing, data analysis, code, you'd need some way to objectively measure whether the new version is better or worse. That's a design problem, not just an intelligence problem. Until that's solved, the agent that grows with you needs supervision. People getting real value aren't setting and forgetting. They pick one thing, dial it in, check the work. Not as magical as the pitch, but it actually works. And look, Hermes is 8 months old. The pivot was 2 months ago. We're early. The next wave won't be lab tool repackages. It'll be people who saw what OpenClaw and Hermes got wrong and started over from first principles. I'll be watching. If you have one in mind, drop it in the comments.